Hello, I'm Dr. Conor Bell, and I teach bassoon at West Texas A&M University. This video is to help you prepare for the 2024-2025 ATSSB Texas All-State Audition Music. First up, let's take a look at number 23 in your Weissenborn book. By the way, there are lots of versions of the Weissenborn out there. There's the public domain one that's for free on imslp.org. Because it's in the public domain. It was written a really long time ago. There are various other newer editions, many of which are identical to that free version. I'm partial to the new Weissenborn method for bassoon, edited by Doug Spaniel. This is volume 2 that has all the etudes in it. They're kind of out of order because they're grouped by key, but they are really nicely engraved. They're easier to read, and he fixes a lot of misprints. Plus, there's a lot of other good stuff for you to work on. All right, so for this etude, we need to check a few things because we don't play it as written. We're going to start this actually about halfway through. The etude originally has a bunch of repeats, and there's a da capo, al fine, and so we're going to start right before that fine, which is actually, for real, measure 25. The instructions say to start in measure 28, but that's in the middle of a phrase. And what I think has actually happened is that the small measures with the pickups and on either side of the repeat signs, because some of the repeats are in the middles of measures rather than at the bar line like is more common, we ended up with a few extra measures in this. So I suggest starting at the piano delicato GB AC that is actually in measure 25. This will have you at the beginning of the phrase. While you're playing these, it's a good time for you to learn that there's a difference between grace notes and appoggiaturas. At the beginning of this, at the delicato, they are appoggiaturas, and so your Weissenborn should say above the staff Ausführung, which is German for execution. And it has it printed. So all of these should have a rhythm of 16th note, dotted 8th note. Dia, dia, dia. You want it to sound like the G, the A, and the C are on the downbeat, and we're not going G, B, A, C, C, D, like that. It should have the emphasis on the first note. So have a little bit of a tenuto, a lean on that, and then release for the second note. In the next measure, it's tricky, but the printed rhythm above the staff should help. It should be da-da, dee-da, dee-da. So the F sharp A are on beat 1. It's tied across beat 2. On the te of 2, you have two 16th notes, G, B. And then beat 4 is the 16th dotted 8th note, just like we have previously. This is an old style of music notation that you need to know about to be an educated musician. And it's really just to help you see where the harmony is, where the more important notes are. And that's why it's written like this, even though it's harder to read. There are two places, though, in this where you have an actual grace note. If you find the RF, the Ren forte, it's kind of an accent, in measure 30, 31, 32, the DD octave, that one has a slash through the small note. The slash through means it's a grace note. So it happens in between the A and the D. The D should happen right on the te of 1, and it's helpful to give a little bit of lean on the C sharp so that you feel that it's a downbeat. The same is true in the second to last measure of the etude, D to D. But this time the D is the downbeat note, so it's off by just a little bit. To do that slur well, you need to move your thumb from D with the whisper key down to D with that top flick key. It should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're unlucky and your bassoon only has 4 thumb keys on the wing joint, go ahead and use the top one. It's not ideal, but it's the best you can do without just hunging it. All right. For the first part of this, we can leave out the repeats. You da capo, so you go back to the beginning. It's in G minor, it's really dramatic. Make sure we're taking time with the fermatas and the caesuras, or the railroad tracks. And note that not all the notes have fermatas on them. So, for instance, in measure 1, 2, 3, 4, in measure 4, that A before the caesura does not have a fermata. However, in measure 6, the E flat before the caesura does. So the E flat you can hold longer, the A you can't. The alteration to that I do is because we end the etude in kind of a funny place on beat 2 of measure 12 on that low G. I do kind of put a fermata on that so it's nice and long and really full. To get these slurs up from G in the staff to high B flat, you have to have really good fast air, you have to have a decent reed, and make sure you're going to the right fingering for the B flat. If you're having trouble getting it out, I suggest raising the first finger in your right hand. So it's just, instead of 1, 2 in the F key, it's just 2 in the F key. If you need help with some of those higher notes, I have a fingering chart available. Just let me know or check my website, conorbell.com. Good luck.